You know, it's funny. We just got done having a conversation with our drivers about distracted driving. And in that conversation, we talked about phones. We talked about Netflix on dashboards, which still blows my mind, frankly. And we talked about how it only takes a split second, just a glance, and everything can go sideways really fast. But here's the thing. Distracted driving doesn't always look like a phone in your hand. Sometimes it looks like comfort. Sometimes it looks like habit. Sometimes it looks like letting that truck idle just a little longer because it's easier, because it's what we've always done, because, hey, fuel's been cheap before, right? Well, not anymore. Diesel's sitting north of $5 a gallon right now and climbing. And what used to be a small habit is now a big problem. Because just like taking your eyes off the road for a second, you take your eyes off fuel consumption for a little too long, and now you're not just risking safety, you're burning money, and a lot of it. Not in theory, not on paper, literally throwing money away. So today, we're going to have a different kind of distracted driving conversation. It's about what's in your hand, sure, but it's also about what you're not paying attention to, and why right now, with these fuel prices, that matters more than ever.
Welcome to the gold standard of podcasts for the gold standard of drivers. This is the Liquid Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Liquid Trucking Podcast for episode 125. That's right, 125 of them, just in case you're bored. I'm your host, Marcus. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Amanda. What were you even doing for, like, the first 100 episodes that you weren't here for? Good Lord.
I was out here waiting to be discovered by you. That's what was happening. I was just sitting here waiting.
Well, we're so glad that we discovered you, because my words per minute has dropped so much. Well, actually not that much. It's like a 15% drop, which is about perfect for me. I feel like you've added years to my life. I'll be honest with you.
Well, someday I'm going to ask you for a favor, Marcus.
Just as long as I don't have to go to Ohio to do that favor, I'll do it. All right. Just let me stay here in my comfy little studio at home, and I'll be happy to do favors. I got to be careful saying that. These drivers, they get around, right? So I got to make sure it's like you never know who's driving by. I will tell you this. I told this story a long time ago on the podcast, but I was talking on the podcast, and my window right here behind me, behind my green screen, butts up to what's called the Beltline in Eugene, and that is basically Highway 569, which runs by all the major exits that you would need in Eugene from point to point. And there's a lot of truck traffic on it. And one day on this show, I said, you know what? If you're ever on the Beltline in Eugene, just go ahead and honk. And somebody honked a truck horn outside right when I said that. The mics didn't pick it up. And obviously, I wasn't live. I was recording something at the time. But it was just like, I said, throw me a honk. And I hear bah, bah, right outside.
That's wild.
Hey, sometimes things happen for a reason, I don't even know how I got down that rabbit hole. But welcome to the show. This is episode 125. Sometimes we're a bit distracted by the fact that I'm just babbling. And that kind of plays into what we're talking about today, Amanda.
Absolutely, because there's nothing worse than a distracted driver. There's nothing more dangerous than a distracted driver. And there's nothing worse than being that distracted driver, which I think we're going to find out if I am or if I'm not that person.
Yeah, we got a couple of guys that are going to come in here and break it down for you in a real brass tacks way. As we find, and you guys know, professional drivers don't pull any punches when it comes to safety hazards on the road. And distracted driving, our stats that we have for you would tell you that it's like 25 to 30% of accidents. Our drivers will tell you that it is a much bigger problem than that. And I think it probably is very underreported, which we'll talk about why once we get the drivers in here. But there's all sorts of distracted driving, right? Obviously, the first thing everybody thinks of is the phone. But one thing that really just kind of grinds my gears, if I may be so self-indulgent, is rubberneckers. If somebody's pulled over on the highway, I don't know. It's just a cop with a guy pulled over. Now, look, if there's 4 blacked out SUVs and 3 cop cars and like a SWAT van, I totally understand looking at that. That's pretty cool. That kind of looks like a movie. I'm going to check and see, like, what can I tell about the guy? Can I look at this guy and see what type of federal felony he's probably on the hook for? You shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but it's a fun game to play when you're at the end of a long car ride. What I'm saying is there's situations that warrant slowing down to like 30 miles an hour on the goddamn freeway and looking. When Barney Fife has one Honda Prius pulled over,
right.
Toyota Prius pulled over, it doesn't involve you, and it doesn't matter that you want to be involved or that you just keep it between 10 and 2, between the mustard and the mayonnaise, at right around whatever the sign says the speed limit is, and keep on rolling. I obviously think about this a lot, Amanda, and that's my... I understand how all these distracted drivers cause accidents, especially the ones on the phone, but the ones that really grind my gears the most are rubberneckers, because the butterfly effect just goes back for miles.
I could literally feel my blood pressure rising just as soon as you said the phrase rubberneckers, because that literally irritates the entire life out of me. Obviously for safety, like you said, but just do what the law tells you to do when you come upon a situation like that. All right. You don't need to be extra. You don't need to anything. And I love our boys in blue, right? So if they've got someone pulled over, absolutely make sure you're being cautious. But what are you trying to read what his license number is as he's handing his ID to the cop? Like, what are you trying to do? Move it along.
Yeah, you're not gonna make a cameo in the body cam footage, regardless of what happens here today. And if you've ever wondered, drivers, a lot of you know me well at this point out there, especially the guys working here for Liquid. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be in a car with me and like my wife, what she lives with every time we go on a trip, and something like this happens, that unhinged rant that you just got is exactly what she's subjected to every time. Because I can't keep it up here. If I keep it up here, that's when the heart finally explodes, right? If I don't let this out of my mouth, I'm a heart attack at 43 type of guy, and I don't want to do that. So this is a peek behind the curtain of what my poor wife goes through on the daily. She drives a lot now, actually. She'll take over the driving, which I've now just become the husband that stomps on the non-existent brake on my side when I'm the passenger princess. So
I was just gonna say that.
Doesn't do any better for me, but whatever. It is what it is. This has all been, we've had fun here and we've been laughing, but all jokes aside, today's episode is a pretty serious one because we're going to talk about distracted driving. We're also going to touch on something else that is affecting Liquid trucking right now, and that is fuel prices. Diesel prices are through the roof. We're going to welcome in GM Josh Schmidt a little bit later to talk about the effect that is having on Liquid. And I want you to know, when we bring in Josh, it's never for a small reason, okay? And we got him, we got some time with him again today to have a very important conversation that I hope, Amanda, is very impactful with the drivers we've already had the conversation. We know it's going to be impactful. So I'll just say, listen up, because you can definitely help and you can be a part of the solution rather than a part of the problem.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and this is such a great example of that, honestly.
Yep, it really is. So let's get into it. Let's bring our two drivers in here, talk a little bit about distracted driving, and then stay tuned at the end of the episode to hear from Josh Schmidt. All right, Amanda, it's time to bring our drivers in here and get onto this distracted driving topic. Now, I'll be honest with you, we've touched on this before, but in 120 some odd episodes, we really haven't dedicated a segment to it. And I think that the point of this segment, Amanda, is, look, we all know there's distracted drivers out there on the road. If you don't know that, the next time you're on the road, I want you to look left and look right and tell me what the drivers on your left and right are doing. You will find a distracted driver. That's why I think this is an important segment to bring up.
You know, I was going to make a joke about being too distracted to hear what you were saying, but I got too distracted to write the joke. So we're going to see how this conversation turns out, which side I might end up being a villain. We're going to find out.
Well, when it comes to me and talking and people being distracted, I'm going to give you my wife's phone number and so you can figure out how she does it, because I'm always talking. She doesn't hear very much of it, Amanda. I'll be honest with you.
I have a similar situation going on.
All right, let's welcome our drivers in here. It's been a while since we've had him on the air. He's a fellow Duck fan, and we're glad to have him back here. It's Quincy Rich on the show. Quincy, my friend, how you doing out there today?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Thanks for joining us here today. It's been a while since we've had you. We're glad to have you back. Still out there training liquid drivers, I see.
Actually, no. I took a step back from that, and we have a new Bardo trainer, actually. So
really, okay. So you're what are you out there doing now? You just doing local, regional? Are you OTR? What's it look like now that you're not training?
Still doing all local. Still home every night, Monday through Saturday.
Great, man.
All chemicals. So
great stuff. Well, thanks for being here, Quincy. We always appreciate the time. Also joining us today, we've got a driver making his first appearance on the show, and he's going to be going home with 25,000 Drive for Gold points for the privilege. Please welcome to the show, Wendell Walker. Wendell, it's a pleasure to have you, my friend. Thanks for stopping by.
No worries. How you all doing?
We're doing great, man, and glad to have you here. Always love it when a driver makes his debut appearance, and we want to let the listeners get to know you a little bit. So a couple questions for you to lead us off here. How long have you been with Liquid Trucking, Wendell?
I've been with Liquid Trucking for a year now. April 1st was my year date.
Oh, awesome. Well, congratulations. You know what? I've got an applause button for that. Congratulations on that first year, man.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, that's
thank you.
That's awesome, man.
Cake?
I got you.
Yeah, you're going to have to stop by Amanda's for that, man. I can bake cookies, but every cake I've tried's collapsed on me, so you're going to want to trust Amanda for that one. How long have you been driving in general, Wendell? Because I understand you've got a pretty good wealth of experience there.
I started driving in '94.
Wow. And what brought you to Liquid? What was attractive about the newest gig you've got?
My wife and I moved out from California 3 years ago, and the idea was to get local work. And she was a driver at the time, and she was going to find local work, and I was going to try to find a local job that paid the bills. But just like every place else, I couldn't find one that was paying the bills. And my son actually seen one of the liquid trucks, and he told me, "Why don't you try over here?" And gave him a call, and 2 days later, they accepted me and wanted me into orientation as soon as possible. So I guess God meant for me to be here.
Amen to that, man. Well, we're glad to have you, and I'll say this to the guys listening that are also drivers. I think there's a lot of drivers that would pat you on the back for getting out of the mess of red tape that is California. Do you like it more where you're living out in the Midwest now?
I like it a lot better. I grew up in California, Central Valley, California, and over 59 years, it became a state that I didn't recognize anymore. It's not the state I grew up in. The political scene is just too much to handle for me. Just the crime and all that stuff that comes with it, the homeless problem. We couldn't take it any longer. And our son had came up to Dubuque in Iowa to go to school, play football over there, and so we ended up following him out after he met his wife, and we followed him out. Been here 3 years. We love it.
Awesome, man. Well, that's a great story. I'm glad you guys found a spot. You found a gig that you like, and we're super happy to welcome you here to the podcast today to talk a little bit about distracted driving. Now, fellas, I just want to put out there some numbers for you to sort of set the stage here. Every year, it's estimated that about 3,200 Americans die in distracted driving cases. Now, 3,200 people is a lot of people regardless. If you're talking about that's how many people die on a crab boat, that's how many people die out driving on the freeways. This one specific thing, distracted driving, is very hard to report, and it's widely considered that this number is actually very much underreported because it's hard to prove, especially because if somebody dies in an accident, you can't just ask them if they were distracted before they crashed. But Quincy, I'm going to start here with you. Just in general, when you hear me say 3,200 Americans die every year in distracted driving crashes, and you think about what you see out there on the road every day, Do you think that number sounds low, high, or just about right?
It actually seems like to be low. I would have thought there would have been a lot more than that.
I kind of figured, and the reason is because you're seeing it all the time. Am I correct there?
Oh yeah, into the truck, and then also their fire department that I'm on back home too. We get a lot of vehicle accidents where people rolled over and they're crashed or rear-ended. We've had people rear-end school bus just because they were on their phone.
Are you serious? I bet you that one was one that you were not too excited to pull up on the scene to.
No, it was not.
And are you a volunteer firefighter, Quincy?
Yep, for 10 years now I've been on our department.
Wow. You know what? That deserves a round of applause, too. That's so cool, man. And I'll tell you why this kind of has a special place in my heart, Quincy. Growing up in a town of only 2,000 people, our entire fire department was volunteer the entire time. More than once, I watched 3 out of 4 of my football coaches with a big red beeper on their belt all of a sudden look down and just take off sprinting out of football practice. And to me, that was always so cool. Like, those guys are going to save the day. Those are my coaches. I just have a very big spot in my heart for volunteer firemen, and I would guess that Amanda probably does too. I'll kick it over to you real quick, Amanda.
Oh my God, yeah, I totally buy the calendar every year.
Hey, funny you say that. We sell calendars.
Well,
As
you
you
better
should.
you better send Amanda a link, all right? And I want one too, for the heck of it.
Oh boy, I don't know if you want to see this 6-pack. I'm kidding. It's more like a 21-pack.
Hey, however many, man. As long as you're packing something, that's all that
That's right.
matters. That's calendar worthy, man.
Yeah.
I got a pony keg myself, so I get it. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's you look
I
at
got
it.
the full-blown keg.
You got the full-blown keg. I appreciate it, Wendell. You know, you look at mine and it looks compact, but then you get your hands on it and you go, "There's some weight there. There's some volume." So I get it, man. I totally get it. We got Amanda in stitches right now because she's thinking about the calendar that we would make.
You guys, stop it. You're distracting me from the conversation
from the
at hand,
from the
okay?
topic at hand, right? Wendell.
Yeah.
It would be well-rounded. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, man. All right, Wendell. So I kind of want to ask you the same question that I just gave to Quincy there. 3,200 Americans dying every year in distracted driving accidents. Does that number seem low to you as well?
Yeah, that's a real low number to me. I mean, there's a lot of lucky people out here. You look down from our vantage point, and probably out of 10 cars, you see 8 of them at least have somebody doing something other than what they're supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And yeah, to me, that's a real low number.
80% of the cars you pass is harrowing to me, especially considering what you guys do out there on the road. Amanda, since you're not a truck driver, I'm going to field you this question here. Are you one of the 8 or are you one of the 2 most of the time?
I don't know. I'm gonna say that I'm a reformed 8. Like I probably used to be an 8, and now I'm definitely more of a 2. And you know, that's 2 parts. That comes one in like my kids getting their licenses and going, "Mom, oh my God, why are we a better driver than you? Don't look at your phone." Which kids will humble you real fast. They're great for that, especially when they get to the teenage years. But the other side of it too is I feel like the older I get, I can't multitask as well, and I'm smart enough to know not to try, right? I think that's just where I'm at with it. So maybe when I was younger, I would try more. But now it's like, no, I don't even want to try to change a song. I'll try and use voice command if I can, rather than even touch my radio if I don't have to. So I don't know, getting older, I say getting smarter.
Yeah, I get you. Well, I mean, not being a truck driver, but being somebody that was out on the road for a portion of my career, never put on anything more than 6,000 miles in a month. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm anywhere close to the miles that Quincy and Wendell are putting on and the rest of you liquid drivers out there. But I noticed it when I was only out there on the road for that long. And what's crazy about it, you know, you think, oh, they're just texting. They're on their cell phone. I've seen people reading full-on novels on the steering wheel while driving down I-5. And that's kind of the next thing I want to jump into with you guys, Quincy and Wendell here. Quincy, we'll start with you. it's a phone, but you've also probably seen people doing any number of other crazy things while driving. Can you recount some of the wildest stuff you've seen out there that people are doing other than just being on their phone, which is very dangerous in and of itself?
How appropriate are we trying to keep this?
Well, I think with you asking that question, you can just say that you've seen some people doing some inappropriate things.
I've seen people doing inappropriate things with each other, yeah.
Okay. Very dangerous when involving a friend being distracted.
Very, yeah.
Wait, what state was
There's
that?
a
No,
lot
I'm
of
kidding.
jerking of the steering wheel, if you know what I mean.
That's the only time we're going to use that word in this podcast segment. But yes, the steering wheel has some erratic movements. You know, that's one thing Amanda and I are used to, being under an FCC license for so long. You find creative ways to say it without saying it. And I think that you just did that, Quincy. Is that something you see frequently? Something you've seen more than once? Or is that like, hey, that's the wildest thing and it really stuck in my mind?
That is probably one of the wildest things I've seen.
Okay. So fortunately,
besides just the normal distracted driving stuff people do, yeah.
Okay, all right. And Wendell, how about you, man? Have you seen copulation on the road, or anybody doing things with their passenger that they maybe shouldn't be doing behind the wheel?
You can, if you catch it at the right time and everything else, you can see a lot of people having a lot of fun out here.
And not really the best place to have your fun. If I'm just going to pick a few places, I would say the parking lot at the dirtiest rest stop on the freeway is a better choice than on the road here.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for me to say to put it out there like that, you know. I wouldn't want that or my wife or anything like that put out there like that, but you see it often. I don't know if you see it as much as you did when I first started, but you definitely see it often out here.
It's just wild. I've only been in one accident as a driver, knock on wood, because that's probably means I just promised myself my second one within the next month. But all I did, I was at a stoplight. I was the second car in line. The light turned green. The truck in front of me went, and I went on behind him in my little Ford Focus. And there was some commotion going on at a drive-through coffee shop on the corner. And I thought, what's going on over there? And I turned my head, and mind you, we're doing 10, maybe 15. I turned my head to the side and went, oh, it looks like they got somebody causing some trouble. Turned back and drove right into the trailer hitch of the truck in front of me that had come to a full stop. For what reason, I still don't know. Right in the middle of the intersection, but I drilled him. I didn't even slow down. And that I tell you guys that story because I was distracted. Number one, I'm the criminal here. I'm the guy that wasn't doing it right. But it was half a second, long enough to turn your head to the side and turn back. It didn't take any time at all. And that guy had fully stopped. I never saw brake lights, you guys. Talk to me a little bit about that from a trucking standpoint, Quincy. Not only are you driving a big rig, you got 80,000 pounds on your back, you're dealing with the surge of the liquid. How much time are we talking here that a cell phone distraction can take and cause an accident? I just want to kind of paint the picture here for everybody listening that it's a lot less time than what you think, Quincy.
Oh, it could be a matter of just a split second. I've seen driving in snow or on ice, I've seen cars pass me and they look down, pick up their phone, and the next thing you know, they're in the ditch.
Wow.
And it's just instantaneous.
And how do you try to stay protected in that scenario? Because I imagine if you're driving at speed, you glance down and you see somebody is clearly distracted. Are you trying to slow down? Or are you just keeping an out there for yourself? Like, how do you approach the situation, Quincy?
I just hold it in my lane, and if they hit me, that's their own problem.
Right.
So I've had my first one that I had here with liquid trucking. I think I was here probably a month, and I had a driver who was watching Netflix. He just started drifting into my lane, and I got on the shoulder, and I couldn't get over anymore. And he finally realized I was there, and he swerved back over. And then he pretty much just parked on the shoulder and got out, and I stopped, and he's like, "Did I hit you?" And I was like, "No, you didn't hit me, but you came pretty close."
God,
But
dude.
he had no idea I was there.
Oh, and how long did it take you to clean out your seat after that one?
Right. That's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah. It was interesting, but we weren't really going fast. We're just coming out of Worthington, Minnesota, out of the roundabout, so we were probably only doing 20, 30 miles an hour, luckily. So
Thank
Boy.
God. Oh.
In your first month, though, I imagine, did you ever have a moment after that where you're like, what the hell am I doing?
no, not that I can remember.
Good. That means you're cut out for it, Quincy, unlike myself, and I don't want to speak for Amanda here, but also unlike Amanda.
Yeah, literally. Get me
Wendell,
that Depends endorsement, okay?
Wendell, how about you, man? When you see somebody that's clearly distracted around you, you've been driving for a long time, so you've seen it thousands of times, I'm sure. Is there anything that you do to just try to keep yourself safe, the people around you safe, or are you kind of like Quincy, just hold your lane and just make sure you control what you can control?
Well, that's what you do. You control what you can control. If you're in the slow lane and you see somebody on your driver's side doing that, you try to get over the fog line and hold that spot there as best you can. You can't slow down for them because even if they don't see you and they cause an accident, it's still not fast enough for you to stop to avoid hitting them.
Right.
You know, that's all you can do is do your best to avoid hitting them. Sometimes I'll even wake them up by grabbing my horn and giving them a nice scoop after I blew myself over and stuff like that to wake them up to the fact that, hey, you got something really big beside you. You need to pay attention to what's going on.
That's so good, man. I'll tell you right now, a little toot from the horn on your guys' truck will wake up everybody in the vicinity, and I'm glad when it happens. I've seen drivers do it before with guys. I don't know whether this dude was drunk or getting tired or what, but on our most recent trip back down I-5 from Seattle, I mean, having real trouble holding lane, and it was funny because when a truck finally tooted at that guy, it was like it totally broke him out of whatever trance he was in, and he never brushed the fog line for the rest of the time that I saw him. So, I mean, I was happy that driver did that because it was starting to get dangerous. And I'll tell you, one thing I've been seeing online, Quincy, your story brought this to my attention. I keep seeing these things on TikTok and on Facebook Reels. They're advertising little adapters that you can plug into your USB port on your cars that have the entertainment centers, like the screens in the dash, and it'll give you Netflix on your screen right there. I'll tell you, every single company that's inventing those things right now should be prosecuted to the nth degree of the law. I don't understand how it's legal for you to basically give somebody a distraction like Netflix, of all things, while they're driving a car. I mean, Amanda, I don't know about you, but it could be an hour and a half of scrolling Netflix before I find something that I want to watch, and then another 2 hours of being distracted while I watch it. What do you think, Amanda, about these adapters? Have you seen them?
I don't know. I think that there are a lot of toys now for drivers. And I'm not going to lie, I saw an ad the other day that totally made me think of you, Marcus. And I don't know if you've seen this, but it's
just a piece of duct tape for my mouth.
Who told you? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's
Husky duct tape.
Yeah. So, you know, like where the air vents are, the way you would clip like an air freshener right there, except it's a cymbal, you know, like drums. And so like you know, like people will do air guitar in the car, they'll do air drums or whatever. So you don't have to air drum. It's like an actual little tiny mini cymbal.
Keep talking.
It attaches. Yeah. It attaches to the car. And then while you're playing, now listen, you gotta know, I grew up in a household with a dad that was like a really embarrassing air drummer in the car, like the kind that you know, like you duck down in the car next to your parents because that's how embarrassed you are. However, as embarrassing as my dad was, I still would have bought him the cymbal, like literally. So Marcus, I think you need one. But you have to find a way to not be distracted while you use it.
I'm so sorry to show you what I'm about to show you here because many of you can't see. Many of you aren't watching this right now, but I had a gag gift Christmas this year with my sister and brother-in-law, and I have the little cymbal with the attachment. I have not put it in my car yet because We're having this conversation, and I can't bring myself to talk to these professional drivers about what they deal with every day and then go, I'm going to go put a little symbol on my, air freshener event so that I can
believe you have it.
I can rock out. I do have it. I am a drummer through and through. I don't know, Quincy, Wendell, would you guys feel a little bit uneasy if you walk or if you drove up next to me? And while I didn't seem distracted, I did seem like I was having my own personal rock concert with my fingers in the truck. Would you be worried?
Oh, no. Nothing wrong with finger drumming. Come on now.
That's right, finger drumming.
I would feel better if you had it like in the middle of your steering wheel where you could just sit there and keep your eye on the road, and you could do it where you don't have to reach over and find it on your air vent.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's good to remember.
But because you got a lot of times when music's on or something like that, you're drumming on your steering wheel anyway.
Right.
I heard
so
you doing it just now.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will get down in the car. I like to rock out on road trips. There's no questions about it. But it's still one of those things where I know, even as somebody who I use music to kind of get into the zone. Like if I'm doing yard work, if I'm doing something that I can just listen and lock in and focus on, driving is another one. Music really puts me in a focus zone. But I'm also the person that if I'm kind of following directions and I'm not sure where I'm going, I turn the music down so I can see better. It's really weird, but I definitely do that. And that to me, Amanda, kind of says that the music is probably a bit of a distraction if I'm turning it down instinctively to help find the driveway I'm looking for.
You know what? If social media was created for anything, it was so that I would know I'm not alone in that right there, literally.
Interesting.
I think we all do it.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask. You guys drive as a profession. Are you turning it down, Quincy? You got to. It's like, look, the breakdown is good.
Let me turn the radio down so I can see where I'm going.
Yeah.
Why? Why do we do that?
How about you, Wendell? Is that something you do? Turn the radio down so you can see where you're going better?
Turn it down, turn it off, whatever, eliminate that distraction. You know, I'm one of those guys that I'll be focused on one thing, but all of a sudden it's like that dog. Look, squirrel. Oh, okay.
Right.
So it just eliminates one distraction. If I'm looking for things already, I don't worry about traffic around me and stuff like that. That's one less thing I have to worry about. I don't have to worry about a good song coming on or distracting me. I can focus on what I'm doing.
Amen.
That's what's important.
Amen, man. Because when Radio by Queen comes on, I'm singing it, and I don't care what's going on. So, I'll pull over.
Exactly.
Nothing for me to be just belting out Ecstasy of Gold. And of course, that one doesn't even have any lyrics, so I'll just be, just really ripping it. All joking aside, though, guys, I've got a couple more stats here that I want to really set the table with because, again, I just don't think that most of the four-wheelers out there understand this. I think the drivers that we talk to have a great respect for the focus that it takes and the care that it takes to be a safe truck driver out there on the road with 80,000 pounds of liquid on your back. But we do have a lot of drivers that listen to this that aren't professional truck drivers. And for those of you out there, I want you to really listen in close. 1 in 10 fatal accidents involves a distracted driver, according to the NTHSA. That number, they admit wholeheartedly, is underreported. They cannot get enough stats on it. Again, it's hard to prove if somebody was distracted. Another thing, texting. The thing that I'll age myself here, and Amanda, I know this is the same with you. When we first started texting and driving, we didn't actually have to look down at the numbers to see what we wanted to text because we used T9. It was every number corresponded to 3 or 4 letters, and you knew how many clicks it took to get to the letter. When we first started texting and driving, you didn't have to look away from your phone, and that was where we came up. Now I'd like you to know, texting makes you 23 times more likely to get into an accident. And just to do some math on that, which is not my strong suit, Amanda, is there anything that you can think of in your life that you can increase your odds of by 23 times by just doing one simple thing that you do every single day? Super convoluted question, but I'm guessing the answer is no. I don't know if I can increase my odds by 23 times to do anything other than hurt myself, which is what this stat is kind of painting the picture of.
I know, honestly, and I'm thinking like along the lines of diet, like how can I give myself a 23% higher chance of having diabetes by doing this one thing every day? But, it's funny you mentioned like our age when texting first came out, when it got big. And it's funny because I was thinking about that today, how it was like, I got to push this one button 3 times to get the letter C. It's ridiculous. But the only time I've ever been rear-ended in my life is when texting was first introduced. And this lady clearly was distracted. She clearly was on her phone, but I'll never forget it. It's like yesterday, I'm sitting at a traffic light, a red light, and I can see the car coming towards me behind me. And she wasn't going particularly fast, but what stood out to me was the child that flew from the back seat to the front seat as she hit me. Yeah, your face.
Oh my
if they
God.
could see your face right now. And I remember I got out and I wasn't worried about my car. I remember I got out and I started screaming at her about not having her kid in a car seat. And I think I was maybe 20 years old, but if I had any idea how much worse it was going to get with people being on their phones, because phones have done nothing but advance and have more stuff on it and give us more reason. Like, I can't even believe how many times a day I naturally reach for my holster. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's horrible. It's horrible. And I absolutely believe those numbers are way higher. How can you actually document every single person? And people aren't going to want to admit they were on their phone either. So it's terrifying.
Yep. Quincy, Wendell, I wonder what your thoughts are when you hear that texting makes you 23 times more likely to crash. Doesn't surprise you guys, I imagine, Quincy.
No, I believe it 100%. Like I said, most accidents that we respond to are accidents that involve being like distracted driving with phones or anything else.
Wendell, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, it's just back. I was driving before they had cell phones, and when cell phones became part of it, I saw how the distraction was going to be when I saw myself being on the phone for like 20 minutes, and that 20-minute span, not seeing or realizing the miles that were already put through and not even remembering them because I was on my phone.
That's a scary moment, and it's one that we've all had. And if you're going to sit here and tell me that you've never had it, I believe you, and I also have a bridge that I would like to sell you from California to Hawaii, because I really don't think that anybody can be immune from it anymore, and you professional drivers are by far the best. But, I think about what you just said, looking at the phone for a few minutes and realizing you didn't even see that miles had gone by. How about this little stat? We've all heard it before, but I think it might be the most terrifying one because it visualizes it for you. I spend a lot of time in the fall watching football games. Looking at your phone for a mere 5 seconds at highway speeds it's long enough for you to travel the length of a football field at 55 miles an hour. And I'm telling you right now, as a 40-year-old, I don't know when the last time you sprinted 100 yards was. It's a goddamn long way. And it really goes by fast at 55 miles an hour. And yeah, like what you said, Wendell, you don't realize how much you're not seeing. When nothing happens and everything's fine and you're still in the lane when you look up, you also don't have the respect that, hey, that was a really dangerous thing that just happened. I just teleported my mind to a completely different place for God knows how long, and I'm miles down the road past where I was when I started looking at my phone. It's a serious problem, guys, and really is just that's the whole idea of the segment, is just to try to shine a light on it for everybody and let everybody know how bad the problem really is. I don't know. Amanda, you told me before we turned the mics on here that you weren't sure if you were on the right side of this coin, if you were guilty or if you were better. You said at the beginning there that you're reformed a little bit. As we've talked through this, are you feeling any different way about it?
I feel like I probably made myself out to sound worse because a large portion of this time I've had a car that's stick shift, which prevents me kind of from doing any of that BS with the phone, right? So for those periods, I was safe. But I think that, again, I'm gonna go back to what I said in the beginning, older and wiser. And I definitely am now a 2 out of 10 and not one of the 8.
Good. I like that. And that's what I was kind of hoping, is that you were going to feel better about it as we talked about it, because if you're thinking about it, I feel like you're doing more than about 80% of the people out there, especially, you know, after hearing what Quincy and Wendell have to say in their travels. I know that this podcast and this podcast alone have changed me as a four-wheeler. There's no question in my mind. I give you guys the room that you need now. I flash my lights. I'm trying to, I understand that you guys aren't responsible for me merging onto the highway. I'm trying to use my full lane of conveyance. You guys, you liquid drivers, have made me tenfold the driver that I used to be. And I thank you for that. And it's because of that, guys, that as we get here to our final thoughts for today's segment, Quincy and Wendell, you're more than welcome to give me your final thoughts if we left anything off the table, but I really want you to concentrate too on talking to some people out there on the road. Maybe it's a guy that's coming to work for Liquid soon. Maybe it's a four-wheeler like myself that will never drive a truck professionally, but from a professional driver, Quincy, what do you have to say to everybody out there listening right now when it comes to distracted driving? What's your advice based on what you've seen?
Just keep the phones down. Try not to watch Netflix while you drive. And my other pet peeve that I have is when you see drivers have their feet up on the dash while they're driving, or foot up on on the 8-pill, or like in these Freightliners. I see some of our drivers doing it. It's like, are you here to drive a truck? Or are you trying to sit back and get comfortable like you're at a movie theater? Like,
Boy.
Focus.
And have you ever seen the x-rays of people that get in front-end collisions when they have their feet on the dash like that, what it does to their broken femurs, broken tib fib, broken ankles? You're lucky to walk again if you get in a front-end collision like that. Yeah, dumb stuff. And also, I do want to say, even if the love of your life is in the passenger seat, keep your goddamn hands to yourself. We're driving out here. We're trying to get from point A to point B, right, Quincy?
Hands and mouth.
Oh man, yep. There's
I gotta go
not
talk
to put
my husband.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
I almost made it through the whole episode. Sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Out of my hands now. Wendell, same thing to you, my friend. Give us some advice. Give the four-wheelers out there some advice. You've been trucking since the early 90s, man. You've seen a lot of stuff out there. If I could give you just a few minutes to say anything you want to about distracted driving to the general population, what would you say?
You know, we see commercials that say it's not worth it. Really stop and think it's not worth it. There's drivers out there, you know, you're a professional driver for a reason. And it's not just to be on vacation or be out here and play around. You know, do your job the way you're supposed to. Go home to your family safely. And if you're doing unneeded risk that's going to keep you from getting to your family, stop it. It's not worth it. Just stop it. Your family's more important than anything else on this road. Period.
Yep. Period. That's a great way to end it. Wendell and Quincy, you guys did awesome today. Greatly appreciate it. Wendell, how was your first appearance on the show? Did you have a good time? You going to listen to some episodes now?
Oh, yeah. I know we can get a little risque, too. It's okay.
Absolutely. And Quincy, I want to say a special thank you again, man, for being our volunteer firefighter on the show today. That's a big thing you don't have to do, and your community greatly appreciates it, I'm sure.
Yeah, yep. I enjoy serving them. So.
Listen to him be all humble about it. Like, this is the most humble guy I've ever met.
Marcus will send you my address for the calendar, so.
Quincy Rich.
All right,
Oh, sorry.
I'm Mr. April.
You're Mr. April, so this is your month. We're talking to you in your month. I mean, do you even have a shirt on right now, or are you just in the pants with the suspenders?
We got shirts on.
Okay. Well, Quincy and Wendell, you guys are awesome. Please be safe out there. Keep your eye out for those distracted idiots, and we'll get you back on here soon. All right, fellas?
All right.
Thanks. I really enjoyed it. I'll do it anytime you want me to. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No problem, Wendell. I'll keep your number, guys. Be safe out there. We'll talk soon. Welcome back into the Liquid Trucking Podcast, a very important segment now. As you guys have all heard, diesel prices are through the roof right now. It's wild out there, and we needed to have a special segment here on the show today to talk about that a little bit and address some things that are going on. So please welcome back to the show. I feel super privileged to have him twice in 2 weeks. We got Josh Schmidt on the line. Josh, thank you so much for being here again.
Thanks, Marcus. I'm flattered. Appreciate you.
Well, we know your time is valuable, and we want to make sure and get this message across the best way that we can, Josh. So just to frame things a little bit here, we're looking at a national average of $5.40 per gallon right now on diesel. Median estimates hovering right around the $5 mark. This is up 50% year over year. And I think that's probably a pretty good framing, Josh. What are you guys seeing from your end at Liquid with fuel consumption right now, and are there any concerns?
Yeah, of course there's always concerns with fuel consumption. It's a big topic in trucking overall. However, when our cost of fuel goes from $3 a gallon to $5.30 a gallon, now we're talking about, even more than a 50% increase. And now, now it's getting to be really intense. And this is the type of thing that can make a carrier go broke if we're not careful. Not to scare anybody, but we really need to get our ducks in order here, and we're working on that now. I would say that the first thing that you do is you go out to your customers and you start looking through all of your rates and make sure that you have a fuel surcharge in place. And is that fuel surcharge keeping up with your actual fuel costs, and just analyzing all that data. So we've been working on that for the past, month or so, and got a pretty good handle on that. And now we just need to figure out how we can save a little more fuel on the road.
Right. And, when fuel prices aren't as high as they are right now, it becomes easy to develop some habits that maybe if fuel prices were high to begin with, you wouldn't have developed those habits in the first place, Josh. So let's talk a little bit about how the drivers can help. Obviously, you talked about the administrative side. You guys have been on that for a month, making sure that everything works on that end. But what can the drivers do?
I think most of these guys have a good idea what they can do, and for the most part, but I'll bring up some things that maybe not everybody knows. So the Midwest average diesel price is now sitting at $5.30. Just last week it was $5.10, and going back a few weeks, it was in the $3 range. So $5.30 for the Midwest. Well, guess what California is? It's $7.56 a gallon.
Yep.
West Coast is $6.36, $6.92. Central Atlantic is about $6. New England area is about $6. So right here in the Midwest is the cheapest fuel that we're going to get, and here at the yard is the cheapest fuel we're going to get. It's also the most efficient. If you're already here in the yard, might as well top off your tanks here. It's the cheapest fuel we got. That's going to save you from having to stop from fuel, drive that little ways out of route, and end up at a truck stop where most of our accidents happen.
Yeah.
So just trying to be efficient helps a lot, and we want to be able to reward our truck drivers for doing a good job with this. And I'll just tell you, we're currently looking at how can we increase driver wages. Well, if you don't have the money to increase driver wages, you can't increase them.
Mm-hmm.
And you start looking at places to where you could save money to hand out driver wages. And we can get into that in a little bit when we talk about idling and idle percentage and that type of stuff.
Sure. Now, when you talk about the states that are the most expensive, you didn't mention Oregon. You did say out west here. I actually just drove down the street because I wanted to see what it was earlier today. $5.95 a gallon, about 3 blocks away from my house for diesel right now. I do want to call out some other states that are in that cheap area. You mentioned the Midwest. Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, but still, it's the cheapest in Plattsmouth right there at the yard. And I'll be honest with you, Amanda, we've talked to a lot of drivers on this show. If I could stay out of a parking lot, if I can keep my driver out of a Love's parking lot when they don't have to be there, I'm hammering that drum every time, and twice on Sunday, Amanda. Those parking lots are crazy. People are getting dinged up all the time. Just avoid it. Fill up in the lot. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you got to take ownership also of the company that you work for. You shouldn't think about it like you're burning somebody else's gas. When you're filling your own tank and you're worrying about where are you going to go to fill your tank to get groceries, people are busting that gas app out and they're making sure they're going to the cheapest place. It's so important right now, I think, for drivers to take that ownership in Liquid and be like, look, I'm going to do what I can do to help all of us so that, like Josh said, everybody benefits in the end.
Absolutely. Let's get into the idle times and things like that, Josh. What are you guys seeing out there right now, and how does it relate to, obviously, it burns fuel. We know that. So how is it relating to kind of trying to, this effort to keep the cost down right now as fuel prices surge?
Well, kind of the industry standard right now is those trucks will burn about 1 gallon per hour when they're idling. So we pay like an idle percentage bonus. So the guys that have been around here a while have seen that. So to define that, basically, if you drive 50 hours a week and you idle 50 hours a week, your idle percentage will be 50%. Because you're idling for 50 hours a week and driving 50 hours a week, your idle percentage is 50% because your truck ran a total of 100 hours and 50 of those were idling.
Copy.
So in round numbers, if you just think about 1% or you think about an hour, it's a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're at about, round numbers again, $5 a gallon, or now we're over that. Before we were at about 3. So, for every 10 hours you idle that truck, we're talking about $50 versus $30.
Yeah.
If it's 50 hours a week and we're at 50%, we went from $150 to $250. Just throwing it out on the ground. Just burn it. Burning $100 bills, blowing your nose with them like Harry and Lloyd on Dumb and Dumber. That's pretty much what we're doing out there. I mean, don't take that as I'm calling anybody dumb and dumber. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying, but literally we are burning it.
Absolutely. You could call Amanda and I that all day. We're happy to be your dumb and dumber today, Josh. But I will say this too. You extrapolate. Look, it's bad enough when you look at it at a one truck, but let's extrapolate this over the whole fleet. Think about that times, $250 per truck times 180 trucks times 7 days in a week. I mean, it just continues to go and go. And that's where we see this exponential cost build up, Josh. What type of idle percentages are ideal? What are you guys looking for? And are there incentives around this?
Yeah, we do have an idle percentage bonus, and it means about up to $1 a driving hour for our drivers. It's not a whole lot. It's just something so everybody keeps an eye on and keeps a track on. I think some guys kind of either just give up on it. It's not worth it. So they don't do anything except for maybe run their truck all the time. So basically, I'm not going to answer your question exactly, but I'll answer it this way. We have a fleet of almost 200 drivers. The average idle percentage is about 25%, but that's if you take out the bottom 20% of our drivers. The bottom 20% of our drivers are averaging between 50 and 60%, with some of them up to 70% idle percentage. These guys, if you look at their history, they don't ever shut the truck off. It never gets shut off. It's just idling all the time. So you start looking at the savings here and what we could average. If we could get, everybody down to that 25%, which is the average for most of our drivers, we'd be saving a lot of money. And just think about it this way. If 50% idle time is burning $250 a week, cut that in half, that's $125 a week. It's doable. And I think we'd all like to have that money in our pocket than just burning it. So we're going to keep a closer eye on these, and we're probably going to start calling our drivers that are kind of in that bottom 20% and just asking them, is there something, going on that we need to run that truck all the time for? Is the Opti idle not working? Do you not understand how your truck works? Like we say in previous episodes, always pick up the phone and call if there's something you don't understand, especially about your truck. That's your home
Yeah.
away from home.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of good resources within the company that are ready and willing to help you figure out any of that stuff. We've seen it 100 times here on the show. It's happened. We've had people say on the show, pick up the phone and call me, just like you did there, Josh. And I think that's the best way to go about it too, man. I'm a communicator, obviously. Thank God I found this job. Somebody would pay me just to flap my gums all day. But I really do feel deep down inside that most problems in this life, and especially in a professional setting, can be solved by having a conversation. And it sounds like that's kind of what you guys are going to do. I wonder, can we help you by putting some idle percentage stats up on the website, the podcast landing page? We have kind of some, I think right now we've just got mileage up there, but we could also put the idle percentage up there and let these drivers see who's doing good, who's doing bad, kind of make a little competition out of it. Josh, do you think that would help?
Oh, it would most definitely help in some ways and maybe hurt in others. So,
so put a pin in it.
I think guys that have been around long enough know that we've posted numbers and posted names on things before, and I think we're just probably in that area that we'll keep it private for now. But it's always an option, I suppose. But
let's
sometimes
hold that
not
out
a great
there.
option.
Yeah, right. It's kind of a carrot and a stick situation here. We're not doing it just yet, but it's out there just in case we need to. That's great, man. It's always available to you. Obviously, we can do whatever you want with that website. Our guy Tyler is amazing, so you let us know if we can help in that way. But moving forward, next steps here, sounds like we're going to get in touch and just kind of keep an eye on this type of thing. Is there anything else that we need to get out on the table here, Josh, before we let you get back to it today?
Well, there's a couple other things. For about $13,000 a piece, not including maintenance, we can purchase an APU, which is an auxiliary power unit, or an EPU, which is an electronic power unit. We've got some of each in our fleet right now. We've only got, a month to 3 months of data on those, so not enough data to know about maintenance. How well do they work in the summer? That kind of stuff. Currently, 80% of our fleet is using OptIdle, and OptIdle is a great option. It's the cheapest. It doesn't require a lot of maintenance. And when fuel is $3 or less, it's kind of that 6 of one and half a dozen deal.
Mm-hmm.
But once we spend the money for $13,000 on the APUs and EPUs, we're going to expect everyone to use them, and we're expecting them to work. So we don't know how that's going to turn out yet, but we're investigating all things right now. The early results are the guys lacking the electronic power units, and the auxiliary power units run on diesel fuel. So that's really only saving about 2/3 of the fuel. So we're using about 1/3 the fuel that we would while we're idling. So we'll just see what's best here. And like I said, just asking for help. I'm asking everyone to shut the truck off if you don't need it to run. The weather's getting nice out. If you don't know exactly how your Opti idle works with your bunk heat and all those things, please do call your dispatcher. Please ask the guys in the shop when you're here. Please reach out to safety. We can answer any questions you have. Fuel here in the yard, just do your part. Because again, when we're looking at handing out raises, there's $100, $200 a week laying there for everybody. But it's right now, Harry and Lloyd are blowing their noses with those hundreds. So
That's such a great
That visual.
reference, man. Well, and I like to hear, I know you guys are always working on, Gabe is always in the lab crunching numbers and trying to find new ways to optimize the fleet. We've had him on here talking about it before, and I think one of the reasons we don't get him on here much is because he dedicates a lot of time to that. So I've talked personally to some of the drivers that are testing the units, and I've gotten the same feedback that you have. They seem to be liking them so far, but I'm excited to see down the road when you guys have more data, just exactly how much more efficient they make the fleet, Josh, because that rising tide sort of lifts all ships when nobody's blowing their nose with hundreds anymore, right?
That's right. That's right. So we're just in the process of figuring it out, and right now, raising awareness is what we're trying to accomplish, and we'll decide on what to do next in the coming weeks here.
Got it. Well, the podcast is great for raising awareness, and we're always here for you when you need us. Thank you so much for joining us today, Josh. We appreciate the info, and we'll keep an eye on it. Like I said, if you need Tyler to pull some triggers on the website, you just let us know.
That's good to know. We may do that. We just might not mention any names just yet.
Okay, sounds good. Josh Schmidt, GM of Liquid Trucking. Thanks for being here today, Josh.
Marcus, Amanda, thank you very much.
Hats off to Josh Schmidt for joining us for that short segment there. Powerful stuff, Amanda. When you hear the guy that's responsible for all of it, whose name's on the checks, and it kind of oversees the whole gamut of this liquid trucking ordeal that we all work for, you go, wow, that's something we should probably listen to, because he's taken time out of his day to talk to all of us.
And how nice was he? Like, if you don't know how to do this or you're wondering about that, call me. Like, oh my God, what a nice, wonderful person. But he also has my gears turning in my head now with the idling situation. And I'm thinking about when my husband goes on break at work, does he turn the car on? Do you turn it on or do you sit in there with it off? I got to know. Now I got to know. Now it's going to be like group conservation in the household. You got to work together. That's what I learned from Josh.
Hey, unleaded ain't cheap either right now. All of you guys get out of your big diesel truck and jump into a daily driver and head home, and you're still paying $4 or $5 at the pump, especially if you live out here and on the left coast where I live. Good God, it's expensive. And I only fuel my truck up about once a month, and I'm feeling it. So I totally understand. I never idle my truck. I tell you who does. My wife loves to start her car for about 5 minutes in the morning before she leaves, only so that her seat warmer and the steering wheel warmer will be warm, so her butt can be warm when she drives. I'm just going to go start sitting in the damn car for 10 minutes.
There you go.
I can go sit out there and use this body heat that I generate with all of these wild thoughts and just warm your seat up. I'm fine with that. I'll even hold on to the steering wheel at 10 and 2. I don't care.
Listen,
I'm conserving.
Why does it sound like a really good side hustle? I'll make the flyers, okay?
Yeah. No, I was thinking picking up dog poop would be a great side hustle, but this one would be a lot better. It takes about the same amount of time, no poop involved. I'll just come sit in your seat. I could do this. I could make house calls. Like, this could be seat dash. I could be sitting in your recliner 10 minutes before you get home.
You've stolen all of my oxygen. Stop it right now.
There's never-ending opportunity for me. Your bath too hot? You want me to come get in it and cool it down a few degrees? There's an upcharge, but I'll do it. I am allergic to bubble bath, though, so don't put any of that stuff in there because I'll get hives.
Getting to know you more every day, I swear.
I mean, like I said off the top, where were you for the first 100 episodes? You'd already know about my allergies and my hives if you'd have just been here.
Listen, I know about meatloaf, and that's what's important, okay?
That is the most important hill. Died on it long ago, still dead up there. Nobody's taking me off of it. We do have a cooking in the cab episode coming up here in a few weeks, maybe a couple weeks. I'm not exactly sure what the calendar looks like. But I'll have to die on that hill again because I know the guys that are going to come on are going to be meatloaf lovers. It's like, I swear to God, I stepped into a place where the people that have the culinary aptitude, the guys that have done, maybe been a chef or maybe they've worked in a restaurant or they just really like to cook, the Matt Cleaches of the world, they're all meatloaf guys. I'm the only one that's not, and I love my time in the kitchen. But you won't find me making a football out of beef and just baking it.
So Marcus would do anything for liquid, but he won't eat meatloaf, okay? That's your version of the song.
Yeah, but I feel like I would eat meatloaf for liquid. I mean, if it was like, hey, you got to have this meatloaf or else the whole thing falls apart tomorrow.
Get back. Marcus is looking over the edge of the hill. He's thinking about coming down.
I mean, if I'm gonna save like a whole company just by eating meatloaf, I feel like it'd be pretty weak move to not eat meatloaf. But at the same time, what kind of hypotheticals are we getting into here? You're just trying to envision a time where me and meatloaf get along. It's not happening. I'm not letting it get out of the blocks. We don't, honestly, like everything that we talked about today in the distracted driving segment and in the fuel segment was so well wrapped up within the segment that we don't have a lot to put a bow on here, Amanda. And that's what happens when we don't have a lot to put a bow on. You get just kind of unobstructed Marcus thoughts, and I'm sorry, but that's what happened today. I didn't sleep well last night. I'm only running about 72% capacity, I feel like, so... if you have anything to say, by all means, take the floor. I could use a drink of water and a breath.
All right, grab that agua, wash it down with the thought of having to eat meatloaf. But no, it's perfect. I think us going off on a tangent at the end of an episode that involved distracted drivers is absolutely perfect and thematical. So, it's the pod fairies blessing us by wrapping us up by being silly. I think it's perfect.
After we had our distracted driving segment, I had to run an errand, and I got in the truck and took off down the road and was out of my neighborhood and on the main thoroughfare. And what did I do? I reached for my phone instinctively, and I caught myself and said, "Don't, what are you doing? Just leave it." And I didn't touch it, so that segment has already made a small difference in the world. It was just me, and it was just one time, but we're going to build on that. That's kicking the snowball down the hill, right? You and me, all the drivers listening, we all know everybody does it. We need everybody to stop doing it. Catch yourself like I did today, and like you will now, I guarantee it. You're going to catch yourself, if you haven't already, within the next day or so.
Absolutely. And, I'm going to just keep the makeup at home because I got a better mirror in the bathroom anyway. So,
so that's not just my wife that needs to go ahead and do her makeup while driving. I started a thing with my wife where if she is driving and I get in the car with her, I know the spot in the neighborhood where she will start reaching behind her into her purse to get
out.
There's a line in the neighborhood where it's like she crosses that, she's in, and so I've started to grab her purse before we leave and open it up and say, "What do you need out of here?" Because
right.
She's good at it. I'll give her the props. She can drive straight and reach 90 degrees behind her and dig out everything out of that purse. But it's not safe, and I don't want to see her smashed up at the end of the neighborhood, or you run over a dog or something like that. Like, you don't want to deal with any of the things that come with distracted driving when they finally do come for you, right? It's all bad. There's nothing good. You're never going to be like, "Man, I was looking at my cell phone the other day, and I won the lottery, and I didn't even know I was still driving." Like that, no, those things aren't going to happen. It's all bad. So clean it up out there, and we'll do the same. Amanda and I, as four-wheelers, we're committed to cleaning it up in here too, especially you, because I feel like you're worse at it than I am. If you're doing your makeup, you're worse at it than I am.
I just saved the lipstick for last because I know I'm going to be drinking coffee in the car, so I hold on to do it. But I will wait until I park at my destination. I do not care who sees me applying it. From this point forward, that's the pledge I'm giving to our 18-wheelers, that this four-wheeler is going to be much safer around them.
And if your passenger princess is applying lipstick, you should just be intermittently applying the brakes. That's a lot of fun if you've never tried it. Just try it
evil.
once. Just try it once, because the lipstick all the way up the side of the cheek.
Looking like the Joker.
Priceless. That's going to wrap up episode 125 for us today. Amanda, always a pleasure. You liquid drivers, stay safe. Keep the shiny side up. We will see you 5 a.m. local time next Wednesday for another episode of the Liquid Trucking Podcast. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in and being the gold standard of drivers on the road. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and tune in next week for another episode of the Liquid Trucking Podcast.
Interested in finding out more about what it takes to bring a podcast like the Liquid Trucking Podcast to your fleet? Bulldog provides tailor-made top-to-bottom podcast production services. We'll meet your terminal staff, connect with your drivers, and bring you the content you want your drivers to hear. Type bulldog.works into your browser to connect with us and learn more about what we can do for your fleet. That's bulldog.works for podcasts, tenacious recruiting, and more.